Hi, this is Hank reporting from Kyiv, and this is my update on Russian-Ukrainian war. Let's see what happened around Ukraine in the last 24 hours. More drones. Bloggers under arrest. Why Putin? Why? Food for animals. Mysterious Russian economy, part 3. This night video was filmed in the city of Yeysk, which is located across the Azov Sea, right opposite my Mariupol, which is currently occupied. I have never been to Yeysk, but from childhood I remember that when I asked, what is there across the sea, I was told the Russian city of Yeysk. Well, here we are. I would never specifically look for anything related to this place, but this night our drones flew to a military airfield and it seemed successful. Russians write that they have successfully shot down about 100 drones in the south. It's so funny that every time they shot down everything and the airfield, refinery, equipment just burned down on their own. This was reported as a hit on a Russian oil refinery in the city of Krasnodar. This is also in the south of Russia, not far from the previous place. It seems to me that we pinched their air defense in that region quite well, because our general staff reports that over the past night they hit 4 oil refineries with unpronounceable names in the south of Russia, as well as a radar station and a radar reconnaissance center near the northern border of Ukraine and in the occupied Crimea. It is also said in the official report that the site from which the Russian drones used to be launched was successfully hit. I believe this is a Cape Chowda, which I constantly see on the list of air raids alerts at night, and the control center for these flights. Unfortunately, there are no videos or photographs from that place yet, and these videos are of terrible quality and were filmed by eyewitnesses. Well, what can I say? The process is underway. -4 refineries is 4 more steps to victory. It's difficult to come up with something new every time. We just systematically continue to process of knocking out the Russian fuel system, and one day it will collapse. The Russians simply will not be able to transport so much fuel in trucks for their tanks that poison our air. Well, the whole world is saving fuel by developing hybrid cars and switching to renewable energy sources. Russia is simply burning 500 liters of diesel with 1 tank in an hour. And I'm still collecting information about the environment pollution caused by this war. This will be a terrible statistics. The security service of Ukraine detained 2 bloggers who revealed the positions of our military and published online materials from which the exact location can be determined. You know, before the war, I was probably a Labrador type of person who loves people and wants to be friends with everyone. And after the start of full-scale invasion, I stopped being tolerant of human stupidity. These are not just stupid things to do for online attention, but real crimes. You take a photograph, for example, of a warehouse of equipment, and the Russian missile flies there, and people die. Such cases have already happened. One of the detainees administrated a Telegram channel with news that had 140,000 subscribers. What is the probability that at least 5% of them are enemies or work for the enemy? And this is approximately 7,000 people. The second smart guy took a video of a combat helicopter flying over and published it on Facebook in the public domain and attached the geolocation. For what? He tried to gain popularity online in this way. Both geniuses of thought face 8 years in prison. It's certainly terrible to lose 8 years of your life because of such a stupidity, but hey, this is a matter of national security. I'm a photojournalist, a person who shoots news stories to show people what is happening, and I have never once filmed the movement of military equipment or the operation of air defense systems. As a professional with a camera, I can say that no one needs your video except Russian agents. So I believe these guys deserve punishment, and let them be released early and assigned to community service if they behave well.
Киевский режим не хочет уходить от власти, не хочет проводить нормальных выборов в соответствии с Конституцией Украины. То есть они будут вечно тянуть с прекращением огня, и они заинтересованы в том, чтобы наши войска оставались на этих территориях, потому что не заинтересованы в проведении выборов. Вот и все.
This is the most literal translation of what this person says. I hope it will show you subtitles because I don't know how to make them, and I'll just translate out loud, word for word, what he says. The Kyiv regime doesn't want to leave power and doesn't want to hold normal elections in connection with the constitution of Ukraine. Yes, they will forever delay the ceasefire, and they are interested in our troops remaining in these territories because they are not interested in holding elections. That's all. In order, according to this person, the government of Ukraine doesn't want to hold presidential elections and therefore continues to desperately defend itself from Russian missiles flying into our houses at night, from Russian artillery shooting at our civilians, from thousands of Russians with weapons who cut off heads of prisoners and rape everything that moves. We are defending ourselves because we do not want presidential elections. Does anyone see any connection here? Further, Ukraine doesn't want to stop shooting at armed attacking occupiers and at the same time wants the attackers to remain in Ukraine so as not to hold presidential elections. Are we really discussing this? This insanity is shown on the news all over the world, and people all over the planet potentially listen to this nonsense. Please tell me this is not real and all those millions of Russians at least laugh at what they hear on TV. If this is the leader of your people, the best representative of the country, then who lived there throughout this vast territory, and why are there still people in the world who convince us of the existence of some great Russian culture or Putin's smart plan? I see a crazy old man who is saving his skin from an international tribunal. The only shame is that many people still take him seriously. I do not understand why. I have no explanation. Oh, by the way, why is this man even telling us how to conduct elections for our president in our country on our territory? Which law of the UN or any international organization generally provides for interference in the elections of another country? We may or may not like Zelensky, but it is up to us to decide who will be our president. Russian neo-Nazi group Rusich released a sports nutrition called Ozverin, which means makes you a beast in the sense of a dangerous wild animal, stylized with their beloved symbols with the Latin Z and V letters, which they use to mark their military equipment. If you think that I'm simply blaming them, then under this video there will be a link to a Wikipedia article that describes in detail the activities of these lovely people. Business is business. If Nazis sell protein to other Nazis, then that's their business, but on the box it says literally this: take everything and it will be cooler than Bucha. They rhymed the name of Kyiv suburb Bucha, where they shot and raped civilians. This is a photograph from Bucha about which Russian propagandists said on television that this was all staged and it was even an operation of British intelligence. Oh, by the way, please note that the Russians commit horrible crimes and always refuse to take responsibility. They are ready to torture and kill, but they are afraid to admit it. How disgusting. This nice-looking and I'm sure kind person is advertising this sports nutrition for his Nazi friends with this inscription about Bucha. Sometimes it seems to me that this is just some kind of a bad joke. Some figures on the consumption of shells by the Russian army. We have seen that North Korea has already supplied the Putin's group with the indicated million shells, many of which were of poor quality according to their artillerymen. Okay, we understand that ammunition consumption is crazy and it's simply impossible to have so many shells for thousands of guns. It is said that in the first year of the invasion, Russia spent absolutely all the Soviet reserves of shells in the amount of 10 million pieces. Oh my god. And now, all the shells they produce, having transferred part of their economy to the military production, go straight to the front, as they say, off the wheels. According to rough estimates, they can now produce from 2.5 to 4 million shells per year, but it is known for sure that the Soviet reserves have run out. And this is where the fun begins. Huge amounts of steel and gunpowder are used in the production of missiles. I heard that the cost of one shell for Russia is approximately 1,000 euros, while for Europe this price is approximately 4,000 or 5,000 euros. Yes, of course, the 155mm shells, better materials and better gunpowder are used, but when the enemy has 5 or 10 times more guns in one direction, this doesn't matter so much. Russia has always relied on the quantity at the expense of quality. In addition to shells, there is an important factor in the wear of gun barrels. Here the Russians are already experiencing problems, and analysts say that With such success, we can count on an approximate parity between the Russian army, which is superior in quantity, and the army of Ukraine, which is superior in quality, but consisting of a huge number of different systems, which were literally collected bit by bit from all over the world. Now we also have a sufficient number of shells after we went through this terrible 6 months period of shell starvation, while the United States and our partners tried to find a consensus. To be honest, we survived by replacing shells with cheap FPV drones, most of which were simply bought with the money of ordinary people with the help of volunteers. A very important point regarding artillery: it didn't play a major role in the southeast lately. They mostly used those infamous meat assaults, but was a key weapon during the attempted Russian offensive from the north in the Kharkiv region. But it worked only until the United States finally lifted the restriction on backfire with American weapons, and then Mr. HIMARS showed his strengths. There wasn't much news today. Yeah, I have topics that I would like to discuss, but I have not yet managed to understand them deeply enough and write a competitive text. This will take time. Now, while I'm analyzing this huge material devoted to affairs in the Russian economy, which directly affects the conduct of the war, there will be 2 or 3 more blogs. There is a lot of interesting things there. Thank you for watching these videos, and thank you to everyone who supports Ukraine and our fight for freedom. This was my update on the Russian-Ukrainian war for day number 849. Take care and see you tomorrow.